Hey, today I have a message called Rays of Light, starting with let this be a day of find out. So, I'm just trying to think of how this should be phrased. When it seems we need to move forward and do something, we're all used to the ego forming a plan of attack. Separating the item or the issue out and deciding, okay, this is how it's going to be done, and this is how I'm going to do it. And if anything should seem to interfere with our plan or our control, our sense of separate self-control along the way, the self I've made up for myself and try to protect and maintain ego is right there to stress out about that, or to try to maintain control of a plan ego made. So find out, let this day be a day of find out. That would be the instructions that are delivered to us. We have a self we share. And if we're carrying out a plan that we've been given, then unless we've allowed ego to come back in, which is really easy for me to do, I'm not pretending that it isn't, then it just rolls along and it is supplied and it is uplifted and maintained and that the plan is taken care of as much as you are taken care of and carrying it out, as much as every participant is taken care of and loved and uplifted and guided and shown the way. And more when we come into what we call a situation, it's a situation not where we're looking around and preparing to analyze and preparing to figure it out, but one in which we already know every seeming player or participant in this situation is uplifted, is held, is loved, is guided, is shown the way. And there's no reason for love to not flow right through them. There would be no reason not to allow that everywhere, in everything, and everyone. And when we don't feel good is where we can sense ourselves getting distracted away from that, into this situation in which everyone is upheld, uplifted, supplied. Everyone will play their perfect part harmonically, happily, and okay, this just came to mind, so I'm just receiving it here. There may be a habit, if you see yourself as a helper or a fixer, there may be a habit of needing to run into others with problems. So, because the identity you've made for yourself might include, I fix the problems of others, right? And so if that can be stripped away, and not that there's a rule that we can't run into someone with a problem, that very well may be the perfect learning opportunity for us both, of course. But there's this old pattern that can dissolve. Everything can be much simpler than the ego says it needs to be. Everything is much simpler than the ego says it needs to be. Nothing is truly complex. So if we kind of strip out this ingredient of, in order to be a helpful person, I need to run into those who are upset or those with problems so I can be this helpful person. Take that away. And then understand that every situation you're walking into is one in which everyone is granted flow. Everyone is granted supply. Everyone is granted the flow of helpful ideas and perspectives, helpful words to say. So we're not, if our ego in the past has imprinted them and kind of blocked them and assumed they're not as able to speak or do helpfully as this other one I'm looking at, or they're not as able to be helpful as I am, or I am not as able to be helpful as they are. If we can see all the blocks we've put in front of all the different people because we have assumptions we carry from the past, or because we need to walk into a situation and believe we're a certain way within it. Like, is there anything in the ego I made for myself that needs to walk into situations where others are blocked so I can flow? This is like about removing all the blocks everywhere, while not getting caught in the dead end of, it doesn't mean that, like, if you don't walk into a situation where everyone is happy all the time, you failed, right? Every situation we walk into is helpful to us, But there's kind of this ingredient of, what do you anticipate? What pattern are you used to needing? What could you unblock? What could you allow to flow? What could you acknowledge is possible anywhere and everywhere with everyone and everything? It's like broadening and opening up and seeing and celebrating what's possible. You get to find out, how able everyone is, how beautiful everyone is, what flow everyone has. You get to find out the harmony that exists amongst us, and there's kind of a sitting back quality, like I'm used to acting, or I'm used to filling in space, or I'm used to fulfilling a certain role. I throw myself into it. It's comfortable, right? But instead, you sit back and you allow everyone to come together. And then maybe your role isn't quite so clear to you. You find out. And this, of course, this message is for me. I'm speaking it, but it's for me. And I'll listen to it again. I find out moment by moment by moment, instead of thinking I know. Okay, gifts are plentiful for everyone. So making no exceptions. It doesn't matter what situation someone seems to be in. It doesn't matter how anyone appears. It doesn't matter what past anyone remembers. For anyone, gifts are plentiful for everyone. Gifts of ideas, thoughts that can cause what we perceive to be their condition, their appearance, their speech, their action, every little bit of them that we seem to perceive. If we think of all of it coming from very loving gifts that are available for them all the time, this is a very new way to think of people. It's not based on the past. And it's well worth taking some time to just sit here with the gifts and to know they're for everyone, and to know that what we allow for the other guy is what we allow for us. If we think in terms of achievement and from an ego perspective, we have focused on efforting to achieve or do something the right way or do something the nice way, thinking of ourselves, right, in interaction with others. But if you can take a moment to feel how limiting that feels, and to step back for a moment and to just be in this place where there are piles of gifts. It's the Christmas season now, piles of gifts next to everyone. And just because you agree to see those flow forth from everyone, to see everyone able, to see everyone happy, to see everyone giving in their joy and receiving in their joy. Just in general, you don't have to be specific. And just allow yourself a moment of happiness to see, oh, everyone has piles of gifts next to them. The ones who seem to have been villains, the ones who seem to have been victims. And what's true for them is what's true for you, for me. So if I'm looking out at them energetically, I'm seeing all these gifts next to them, I'm tapping into my willingness to see these gifts flowing forth. There's no threat here, because what I see out there is what I allow here. So if I have a willingness to see all those gifts flowing forth from everyone, that is what I experience here. Gifts that I can give, and the receiving, and the giving and the receiving amongst everyone. And to take time to orient energetically this way brings results. And then that becomes a very natural setting for us. It is the most natural setting for all of us. And somehow I wandered away from it, so I'm finding my way back. Okay. Find your willingness to see. So whenever I don't feel good, I am not seeing, I'm blind. And the spark of willingness never goes out in any of us. So if I don't feel good, I have to go right back to the heart of me, where here's the spark that never ever goes out. And I need to rest there. And what can I remember? Everyone is blessed. No matter what seems to be going on in time or space, no matter what form any character is taking, the truth of everyone is that they are blessed, and they are gifted, and they do have an ability to see things as they truly are. That spark of light in them is their ability to see and experience things as they truly are. And I don't have to rush to take action in the world. It might be far more helpful for me to rest and to find my willingness to see. Because remember, what I'm seeing for them is what I'm seeing for me. Even if it seems there's a difference, let's say I'm a millionaire and I see someone out there who has $2, right? So it seems like there's a big difference between us. But if I'm seeing poverty out there, I'm experiencing poverty in here. Maybe it's not poverty of dollars. Maybe it's poverty of well-being or ease. But the out there is the in here. And if I see it out there and I'm upset about it, I've projected that out. The perception is mine. And the perception is what can be corrected. And the perception is never the reality. It's a representation. So if we want all representations to come into alignment with the truth of us, it takes some stepping back from the action of the world, some taking time away from that. To remember that I want all representations to reflect the truth about us all. I want my perception to align with the truth about us all. And no matter what's happening, no matter how I feel, I am willing. Everyone's always willing, because our spark of willingness deep within never gets extinguished. It cannot. So there's always a willingness to see, but it seems I have to focus on it and allow it to extend to experience the effects of it. And when I recognize going within to focus on this spark of willingness to see the truth of everyone and everything, And instead of seeming to battle with conditions in the world or arrange things to my liking or avoid the things that I don't like or sit in judgment of everyone and everything, if I spend time going within to the spark of willingness and understand my happiness comes from seeing things as they truly are, I don't want to see any more false representations, then that's really allowing my actual happiness to come on board. I can serve myself with fake happiness that's temporary from pleasure in time and space, but you may see it's ridiculous and worthless, and it's nothingness, that the happiness of the ego is nothingness. So you want to find something real, and this light of willingness within all of us that can't be extinguished, that's real, and that can be focused upon at any time. And speaking this message now is a way of orienting my focus in this way. So I'm very much the student. It's just coming through me, and the act of speaking it as I hear it helps me to focus. Okay. Your willingness to see is the same spark of light that can extend in everyone and everything. So it helps. I don't know anything about anything as far as how things are going to unfold usually. But the word simultaneous steps forward. And now steps forward, and truth steps forward in very powerful ways. Simultaneous, now, truth. So if you think of that willingness in us, it looks like a star in our heart, right? It cannot go out. It can't be extinguished no matter what seems to happen in time and space. And now if I think of the rays of light from the spark extending, but as they extend in me, they extend in everyone, and I'm able to see them. And as these rays of light extend from everyone simultaneously in equality, equal extension, doesn't matter who the character is, what they seem to have been up to, what their past is, whether they're cast as a villain or a victim or a bystander in the drama, doesn't matter. As I see these rays of light extending, then the light is what I see, and the bodies fade into insignificance. And to just take a little time here and orient there. And at the level of the character, saying, what's going on? What's going to happen? I don't know. I really don't know. I just know sometimes I'm given words to explain, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Not now. I'm just orienting. Like the orientation, the foundational orientation is the most important thing here. So that's what I'm working on. I'm given this task, I can do it. The foundational orientation toward that spark of willingness. And you can give this spark of willingness to things too. If you think, for some reason there's a pool noodle here in my basement. I'm not sure why. Alright, so if I go to the core of what this pool noodle is, and I find the spark of light, and I allow it to extend. The form of the pool noodle, or what it's used for, I'm picturing teenagers bonking each other with it. Anyhow, that the light extends, and the form of the pool noodle fades into insignificance, and anything I would anticipate it being used for, anything I would analyze about it or about any user of it, fades into insignificance. What stepped forward is just the sameness and the power. And it's a benign power. It's not the power that strife seems to have. It's the power of what we are together, and that does include everything, everyone and everything. So we can just take a moment there. The ego's going to want to take all the separate ones and things and analyze them and interpret them and then react to them. And what are we? We're joy. We're the joy that is prior to and beyond any interpretation or analysis of anything that seems to be separate. But now that we seem to have brought forth many separate things. And those separate things and people and events seem to be interacting in strife, at least part of the time. And none of that matters. Because the truth of all of them will always be the truth. And when I'm willing to focus more on the truth than on the interplay and analyzing and interpreting the interplay, then I'm doing my part to allow truth to take over and to make itself very obvious. Okay, so when you feel the stress of maintaining your borders, this is how it feels to deny the rays of light. So when I do feel stressed, ego has told me that maintaining borders is important, and that's what I'm engaging in. I'm sitting over here, and from the over here space, I'm judging you over there, either especially positively or especially negatively. I'm comparing you with separate others or something. I've separated it out and I've judged it especially positively or especially negatively, and I couldn't do that if I didn't have other separate things with which to compare it. And to just understand that all this information is meaningless, but there's something far more meaningful behind it all. And that something far more meaningful can come in and guide entirely my perception of the configuration of all the things and people and events in time and space for whatever remains of it. This is different from what ego serves up for us, and this is always available to us. It's just we're used to tuning into the stress, the perception of separation, and operating from there. And this is why feeling serves us so well, because when we're operating at the level of separation, we can feel it. And it doesn't mean you're not allowed to perceive anything separate. It's like everything separate that we invented, the bodies, the personalities, the objects, the events, the things, gets used as a way of communicating with us and communicating amongst us. The great love that is here for all of us. So if we remember, what is all this stuff here for? I made all this stuff, and it's not just going to disappear. First, it's going to get used to communicate all of this stuff. And it's going to get used to communicate the great love, that great benign and gentle and kind power that's here for everyone and everything. And if I have the willingness to see that step forward and see that take over, then there's no reason for me to try to interpret or analyze that guy over there. And that's a relief, because that's a burden gone from my mind. So today I can remember the rays of light. I can remember the spark of willingness. I can remember that in settling down, settling back, and focusing on that same spark of willingness in anyone or in anything you think of, and seeing the rays of light extend from that. And just resting and remembering from here, from this seeing, everything can be made obvious to everyone, and even everything's role in the drama that shows us all how we are loved gets made obvious, and the thing even falls into alignment with the drama that's going to be enacted. That makes it very obvious to us how loved we are, and how loving we are. So it's really funny still for me to think of it in terms of things, but if you think like a spoon is very loving, you have to spend all day on it and just let it in, because the ego can start defining even objects as enemies or as deficient, not good enough. And if we invest everything with the love that's real, the love that's everywhere, then everything is allowed. Everyone and everything, they're all allowed to play their part. Okay? Places, action. All right, let's see, or at least remember the rays of light today, the spark of willingness and the rays of light. Thank you.